Hello, dear friends, welcome to our YouTube channel, USA Football Zone, latest football highlights. This was not merely a defeat, it was a national humiliation. November 21, 2023, the legendary Maracanã Stadium, an impregnable fortress where Brazil had never, in its entire history, lost a World Cup qualifying match, finally fell. And who was the one to breach it? Argentina, their arch rivals. The 1-0 loss marked the final and most devastating blow in a dismal streak of 3 consecutive defeats. It left the 5-time world champions languishing in a shocking 6th place on the points table. This event sent shockwaves through the footballing world and plunged a proud nation into a deep crisis. Fans were asking, is this the end of an era? But in Brazil, history has a peculiar habit of repeating itself. The deeper the crisis, the more spectacular the comeback story tends to be. So, the real question is, can Brazil rise from the ashes like a phoenix and win the 2026 World Cup? To fully grasp the panic surrounding that defeat against Argentina, one must understand that this was neither an isolated incident nor a sudden occurrence. It was the culmination of systemic instability within the squad. Under interim coach Fernando Diniz, who was simultaneously in charge of the club side Fluminense, Brazil appeared to be a mere shadow of its former self. The results at the tail end of 2023 were nightmarish: a 2-0 home defeat to Uruguay, a 2-1 home defeat to Colombia, and finally, the ultimate blow, a 1-0 home defeat to Argentina in Rio. 3 consecutive defeats, a slide to 6th place in the CONMEBOL points table. For the only nation to have participated in every single World Cup, this was an entirely unfamiliar and terrifying experience. The team that once played football to the magical rhythm of the samba suddenly lost its beat, the defense crumbled, and the attack became utterly toothless. Diniz's fluid and attacking 4-2-4 formation was being repeatedly dismantled by opposing teams. Consequently, the midfield was left exposed, and the defense received no protection. That defeat against Argentina, it was the final straw. It validated the very truth that every fan had feared. The Seleção, the Brazilian national team, was spiraling into an abyss of decline, and the situation simply had to change. And change it did at that very moment. But in Brazil's case, history repeated itself. They had faced such circumstances before, perhaps not specifically in the qualifiers, but whenever they stood on the brink of disaster with the whole world watching, they invariably found a way to turn the tide. Their very existence was built upon an unyielding mindset and the ability to transform adversity into triumph. And the finest example of this was not a trophy, but rather a tragic event that served to forge the nation's spirit: the Maracanã of 1950. As the host nation of the World Cup, Brazil needed only a draw against Uruguay in the final match. The Maracanã Stadium was packed to the rafters. By some estimates, the crowd exceeded 200,000. Victory seemed all but assured. Newspapers had already printed special editions proclaiming Brazil as the champions. Brazil scored the opening goal, and the stadium erupted in jubilation. But then, Uruguay did the unthinkable: they scored. And with just 11 minutes remaining in the match, Alcides scored the winning goal, silencing the world's largest stadium in an instant. That Maracanã, or the Maracanã blow, became a national tragedy that haunted the country for decades to come. Yet, from that heartbreaking event emerged an unwavering resolve to become, without a shadow of a doubt, the kings of world football. Just 8 years later, they won their first World Cup. Now, let's fast forward to 2002. Brazil's journey to the World Cup, held in Korea and Japan, was, arguably, the most arduous and challenging in their history. They suffered a staggering 6 defeats during the qualifying campaign and went through 4 different head coaches. Somehow, they managed to scrape through to the main tournament by finishing in 3rd place, entering the competition with virtually no expectations of victory. Football pundits had all but written them off as title contenders. However, manager Luis Felipe Scolari, better known as Big Phil, had instilled an unshakable, unwavering self-belief in his players. That confidence was put to the test in the quarter-final clash against England. Just 23 minutes into the match, Michael Owen scored for England, and instantly, old doubts and fears began to resurface in everyone's minds. Yet, this Brazilian squad, spearheaded by the legendary 3Rs Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho, remained resolute. Just before halftime, Ronaldinho conjured a moment of magic, driving the ball forward from midfield and delivering a pinpoint pass to Rivaldo, who calmly and coolly slotted home the equalizer. Then, just 5 minutes into the second half, the truly magical moment arrived, a breathtaking display of sheer footballing genius. Standing 40 yards out, poised to take a free kick, was Ronaldinho. Everyone assumed he would cross the ball into the box for a teammate. Instead, he unleashed a daring, curling strike that sailed over the head of a stunned David Seaman and nestled into the back of the net. Despite Ronaldinho's subsequent sending off, Brazil held on to secure a 2-1 victory, and riding on that momentum, went on to claim their 5th World Cup title. They had transformed their worst-ever qualifying campaign into their most recent World Cup triumph. Brazil's history bears witness to a clear trend. When they are at their lowest ebb, they find a way to win. The 2002 team proved that a poor qualifying performance doesn't matter once the main tournament begins. Do you think history is repeating itself? Let me know in the comments if you think so. It appears that the crisis of 2023 was the warning or wake-up call that Brazil desperately needed, following that dismal conclusion to 2023. The Brazilian Football Confederation finally took action. The Diniz experiment came to an end. A respected and experienced figure took command of the team and brought stability to the squad. Dorival Jr. was the man who took the helm in January 2024, armed with a clear objective: to restore discipline to the team, reignite confidence among the players, and reclaim the Seleção's true identity and ethos. And the early signs look promising. Dorival has immediately instilled a sense of calm and tactical balance within the squad. They are firmly on the path to recovery. He has delivered impressive results in friendly matches against top European teams. These include a 1-0 victory over England at Wembley and a thrilling 3-3 draw against Spain. The 2024 Copa America has further proven that the team is back on track, a key highlight of which was a magnificent 4-1 victory over Paraguay. But even more importantly, new heroes are emerging. While the world still talks of legends like Neymar, a new generation is demanding its moment in the spotlight. And at the forefront of this new generation is a name that is now on everyone's lips: Endrick. This Real Madrid wonderkid, hailed as a teenage genius, has taken the football world by storm in a remarkably short time. At just 17 years of age, he scored his first goal for Brazil, the winning goal against England at the iconic Wembley Stadium. Just days later, he further proved his mettle by scoring another goal against Spain. Endrick is the future of Brazil, fearless, spirited, and ready to shoulder the weight of that famous yellow jersey. And he is not alone. The responsibility of leading this team now rests on the shoulders of Vinicius Jr. He is no longer merely a supporting character. He has emerged as the team's protagonist, its hero, and under the guidance of coach Dorival, he is truly showcasing the brilliance of his talent, alongside his Real Madrid teammate Rodrigo and a host of other young talents. The core of a formidable squad for the 2026 World Cup is now gradually taking shape. The dark days of 2023 compelled the team to undergo a massive transformation. It was a painful and humiliating chapter in the history of Brazilian football. Yet, perhaps that very chapter has now paved the way for a new and hungrier generation to leave its indelible mark. In November 2023, Brazilian football was in crisis. The team was left shattered and adrift after suffering a humiliating defeat on home soil at the hands of their arch-rivals, and the road to the 2026 World Cup seemed all but impossible. But if there is one thing we have learned from that difficult period, it is this: this is Brazil. It is a nation whose footballing history is defined, in large part, by stories of overcoming adversity and rising once again to glory. The memory of the infamous Maracanaco tragedy of 1950 subsequently ushered in an era of invincible dominance in Brazilian football. Similarly, the struggles faced during the 2002 World Cup qualifiers ultimately culminated in the team lifting the World Cup trophy, and now the green light has been given for a fresh start as part of this ongoing transformation. A calm and pragmatic coach has taken charge, and under the leadership of Vinicius Jr. and the magnificent Endrick, a new generation of superstars has begun to shine. That agonizing defeat against Argentina was not the end of everything. In fact, it served as the catalyst for change. That loss paved the way for a period of deep introspection that was long overdue. Brazil's history has been one of transforming even its darkest moments into resounding triumphs. Now, only one question remains: does this new generation, having emerged from such historic adversity, possess the capability and caliber to add a sixth star to the world's most iconic jersey? Is this the team that will finally bring home the Hexa the sixth title?